Eating some grapes. Eating some grapes. Hey, this is Matt O'Leary, and fall 2017 is in the record books. This is albums at a glance for the whole season, so I'm going to go over a bunch of albums that were released in September and October. I don't know about where you live, but in Minnesota, fall is actually a thing. Like, fall happens, and there's leaves that change, and it just smells and feels like fall. It's not just like summer, winter. First off are 3 albums that are pleasant, but not significant, not noteworthy in any way. Rostam's Half-Light, Wolf Alice with Visions of a Life, and Torres's 3 Futures. Alright, now it's time to get into it. The alt-rockers from the Bayou, Mutemath, have a new album called Play Dead. This is very much in the same electropop vein as Vitals, but miles better in the songwriting department. We've got some heavy psych riffs on War or Hit Parade, or some massive hooks on songs like Stroll On or Break the Fever, but there are plenty of subtler moments like on Placed on Hold or the fantastic Nuisance. Fantastic Nuisance, that is not the name of the song, but it would be a really cool band name. The song's called just Nuisance. It just blew me away with this silky synth lead and Paul Meany's tender vocals. This guy's got to be one of the best voices in rock. Of course, with this band, the production is laid on thick. Like, there's a lot of detail to catch, but I feel like the quality of the songs really warrants this overproduction. It's a really replayable and really balanced album for Mutemath. Next up is Ariel Pink's new one, dedicated to Bobby Jameson, and you guessed it, this one's dedicated to Bobby Jameson. Bobby Jameson was a 60s songwriter who the business got the best of. This guy was taken advantage of and chewed up and spat out by the industry. And this guy was plagued by a number of really sad issues like unpaid royalties and alcoholism and mental health issues later in life. You know, this brilliant innocence was turned into a harbored resentment and a bitter, bitter cynicism. Every bleary vocal on this album and 80s reverbed out snare just gets more and more tragic when viewed through this lens. Another Weekend is such a good track, and it's where this tragedy really culminates with Ariel Pink singing of monotony and lonely dread. The nugget of truth this album really pinpointed and really evoked in me is that everyone has this innate desire to create, and that in itself is pure. But when you couple that pure desire with our wicked and selfish desire to gain personal notoriety, that's when you get the evils of the industry. Creation itself can be spoiled. And though a lot of the music here feels like a rehash of thousands of psych pop songs through the decades, the potent concept makes this a powerful album, and I definitely recommend it if it passed you over the first time. The next artist was Vinyl Me Please's Record of the Month a couple months ago, and Pitchfork's Best New Music, and understandably so. I mean, this guy, his music's very minimal, and as far as R&B and pop goes, that sound is so in right now. He's also got the mad style and aesthetic going for him. It's Moses Sumney with Aromanticism. I love all the ingredients of this sound, the bedroom folk and funereal ambience of Doomed, the choral or harmonic playfulness of Self-Help Tape, or those muted jazz guitars on Plastic. It's got Thundercat on it, it's got a harp on it. I like the vague poeticism that, you know, any reasonably intelligent person can understand. It's not just obscure for the sake of being so. The potential is there, no doubt, but this doesn't feel like a huge breakout moment quite yet. It's still very bare, very abbreviated. The concept doesn't feel fully fleshed out either. He's exploring this idea of being aromantic, of bucking the trend or tendency to seek companionship, but all he seems to do with that is just ask the question again and again across the 10 tracks. That's most evident on the song Doomed. Someone's vacuuming. Right up there. Someone's vacuuming. Beck is back with the long-awaited, long-hyped Colors, and this one is a little bit of a dud, guys. I was just ripped for this negative review I did of WoW like a year ago. It's easily my most disliked video. But I gotta hold my ground on this one. This song, My ability to tolerate this song was grounded in the parody element, and that is just totally underplayed on this album. Like, in the context, it's surrounded by all these sincere, non-jokey, feel-good, let's party pop songs. There is that hint of humor, that hint of parody in this song, but it's a really unamusing parody of a pretty repulsive style of music. I think the songs Dear Life and Colors and Square One are pretty catchy, but all the quirkiness, all the panache of this guy are just sterilized on this album. It's far too straight, far too safe. Hyper-masculine prog masters Mastodon break out the steel and acoustic guitars on this new EP. It's called Cold Dark Place. It's definitely less metal and more roots rock with a real spookiness to it. It's definitely a new side of Mastodon, some of which reminds me of that sparkle on Crack the Sky. Brent Hinds really has a moment on the title track as he sings about his breakup. The dude's got such a thick, manly tone. There's something pretty sweet about hearing him just pour out his soul on this EP. Poor dude. Next up is The Killer's new album, Wonderful, Wonderful. It's very hit or miss. Brandon Flowers reflects on his younger, cocky, arrogant self by embodying the character on the man. He never really steps outside of the character to comment on it. He never really judges this 23-year-old, untouchable, naive version of himself that he's portraying, which I actually really like. It's just a fun soundtrack to an ego trip. And by the way, Brandon's ego trip, it led to some pretty great music, so I'm glad it happened. Great art is often made when the emotion is purest and when the curiosity is at its peak. You know, when you grow up and you become more cynical and conscientious, the magic can really go. The songs Run for Cover or Tyson vs. Douglas have a very similar innocent charm to them, the second of which is a dead-on war on drugs song, seriously. I love it though, that song is so good. I love how the vocals move from this careless playfulness on the verses to this just powerhouse on the chorus. It's Brandon at his best. He's carrying the tune, but more important is this character that's just undeniably seductive. Dream pop act Sound of Ceres returns with another transportive album on the Twin. Their first album, Nostalgia for Infinity, had one of my favorite songs from the past couple of years. It's called Bryn Marina. The Twins influenced heavily by this German novel called The Magic Mountain, so if they're ever going to make a movie about it, then there you go. I gotta say, I was worried the band was going to go in this direction. They really are emphasizing atmosphere and this futuristic sound over anything else, and songwriting especially. This one's produced by the Icelandic Alex Somers, who did Sigur Rós and Jonesy, so that adds to the chilliness of the final product. Singer Karen Hover's got an especially icy and breathy sound, and it might as well just be a 2-octave keyboard because there's really that little personality to it. Like, it just is the same sound over and over again, and I just got really bored. Last up, it's 44-year-old violinist and expert musician Andrew Bird, who came out with the second of a 5-album concept. It's called Echolocations River. He's already done Echolocations Canyon in I think it was recorded in Utah, and he's still got City, Lake, and Forest to go. This is really making me think of The Deer Hunter. Ambitious Andrew goes subtle on this one. It takes a lot of patience, but eventually it really has sank into the sinews. There's always that calming atmosphere of the river passing by in the background of whatever song it is. It's a slice of peace and rest in the most chaotic city in America, Los Angeles. The song Lazuli Bunting gets these chugging strings going with a simple but pleasing chord sequence. It sounds like it could make a killer AT&T commercial. The song Gypsy Moth has a similarly repetitive structure with the cello and violins dancing around in unison. There are some more menacing and atmospheric moments here too. Overall, it's a great Sunday afternoon record. I mean, pop this baby on and maybe it'll grow more significant over time, but right now I'm really glad it was made, and I hope they find a way to package all of these 5 albums together. Whew, that is it. There's been this vacuum, and I don't know if they're playing a musical above me or something. It's now, I think, about 4:30, and the sun is almost down. Let me know what you think of these albums, and hopefully you got at least 1 or 2 recommendations from it. Definitely let me know if I missed anything from the fall that you thought was awesome, and thank you so much for watching.